Okay, so I'm just going to give a review of what we did until now and where we're holding. So we started off saying that every neshama, before a person is born, they have to take an oath that they're going to be a tzaddik and they're not going to be a rasha. And one of our questions is how can you make a neshama take an oath if it never experienced this world? How can you make them promise something they don't even know what they're promising? And then we say be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. Now that's very good to strive to be a tzaddik and not be a rasha, but we have to define what is a tzaddik and what is a rasha. And before we understand what's a tzaddik and what's a rasha, we said, okay, there are 5 categories of people. There's 2 types of tzaddikim, there's 2 types of rasham, there's a beinoni. Before we even get into that, we have to know our audience. Who are we talking to? We're talking to a Jewish person. And what is the definition? What makes us Jewish? Is it that we're following a certain religion, following certain customs, that we have a certain kind of family, what is it? What makes us Jewish? We know that we're Jewish because our mother is Jewish. But what makes us Jewish? And the answer is that we have a godly soul. Every person has 1 soul. A Jewish person has 2 souls. And the definition of being Jewish means that your entire life, you're going to be in conflict between these 2 souls. That's basically the definition of what it means, of what it means to be Jewish. Okay, so the first soul is an impulsive soul. It's an instinctive soul. That's the soul that's responsible to make sure that you're well fed, that you're well rested, that you're okay, emotionally okay, physically okay. That's the job of the animal soul. And then we have a godly soul. And to understand what it means to have a godly soul, we gave 2 analogies. One analogy is the difference between speaking and breathing or blowing. Every creation that God created comes from Hashem's speech, which is very superficial, doesn't take a lot of energy. But what did Hashem do? Hashem blew into Adam a nefesh chaya. Hashem blew into Adam a soul, and that was the original Jewish soul from which all of our souls come from. So blowing comes from the much deeper place, from the innermost part of the person, and that is where we come from. So we are not just a creation, but rather we are part of the innermost. We are part of the Creator. We're coming from His innermost, from His innermost self. That was one analogy that we gave to understand the greatness of a neshama. And then we said another mashal, which we're going to expound on in a lot more depth, and that is the fact that every Jewish person is a child of Hashem. And we're going to go into great detail about that analogy. Now, it's very easy, a lot of people like to say that all humankind are all children of God. But in reality, that's not so. The only people who are God's firstborn son is the Jewish people. And the concept of being a firstborn son only began at when Hashem wanted to take Yidden out of Mitzrayim. That's when Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Pari and says, you don't know who you're messing with. It's not just it wasn't just a welcome, good morning. It wasn't just, freeing these people that are slaves, it's not nice that these people should have to be slaves, but rather this was something much more, something that the world was waiting for. Nor the whole purpose of the world was that the Jewish people should serve God. And Moshe says, "This, you don't know who you're messing with. This is God's firstborn son. You have to let them out of Egypt so they could serve Hashem." That's the only way that the world is going to stay in existence, because Beis Rashis, the whole reason why Hashem created the world, is for the Yidden and for Torah. So being a child, number one, and this class very, 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 very much is linked with the class that we had yesterday. It's the same mashal of birth, so the chayel and birthday. It's one and the same. So as we said yesterday, being a child, what does it mean being a child? That what's my relationship with any other person, even a spouse, is something, it's a friend, or the most where it's most glaring is a spouse, where you have two people and you have to work on that relationship every single day. But a relationship of a parent and a child, if the child is separated from the parent at birth, it could be 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, there's an intrinsic connection between the child and the parent, because the child is created from the parent, and it's who I am. It's not what I need to do to create. It's not I'm creating a relationship. The essence of who I am is I am created from a material called my parents. That's who I am. I am their child. It's not something that I have to work for, but it's something that's automatic and intrinsic. So now the question is, if all Jewish people are the firstborn son of Hashem, and we come from his breath, from his innermost self, and we're, this amazing thing, we're one with Hashem, because Hashem and his wisdom are one, and Hashem and his wisdom are one, and we come from Hashem's wisdom, so we're one with Hashem. That's beautiful. So if that's the case, why is it that we all look so different? Some of us, could be whatever. We're all very different, all many different levels. So how does that happen? Are there like different levels of different degrees of Hashem? Some people have more, some people have less. What's going on here? Why are there so many different levels of Jewish people? And to understand this, we need the mashal of birth. And we start from conception. And we said last time that conception, to conceive a child, it's not just a seed, but everything that happens comes from the brain. In order for there to be a seed, there has to be a desire. There has to be a desire and an intention that comes from the father's brain, that goes down the spine, and only through that from the impulse of the brain creates a physical seed. So the physical response from the body, the brain's impulse translates into a physical response from the body, which releases the seed of conception. So you have the brain, impulse from the brain, which translates into a physical seed. Okay. Okay, so what happens? You have this, you have the seed and the egg, you have this fertilized egg, and in this tiny cell, there is incredible power, intense power. And all the DNA to form this entire baby is all in this tiny cell. And from it is going to be produced the entire human being. And then what has to happen, this seed has to be unpacked. It has to unfold. Just like if you have like a time lapse, if you have like a flower and you're videoing this flower for however long, and then you have a time lapse and you see how, and very quickly, how you see how the flower opens up. So, so this in the same way, this tiny seed is going to develop into an entire human being. Now, when the fetus is growing in the womb, we call it progress. But really, why do we call it progress? Because that seed is not tangible. That microscopic first cell is not tangible. The more the baby's in the womb, the more the baby develops, the more tangible the baby becomes. So the more tangible something is, what's more tangible, progress. But really, it's a downgrade. It's a downgrade. Because what happens is in that first cell, there's 100% potential and 100% power. And then, so from, and you don't know which part of this cell is going to end up being fingernails, and which part of the cell is going to end up being here, and which part of the cell is going to end up being a part of the brain. All the power is in there. And then as it evolves, as it develops, what happens is potential is lost. So the part of this cell that's going to be a brain ends up retaining all the power. But the fingernails and the toenails and the hair and the lesser parts, they lose potential and they lose power as they develop into lower and lower limbs and organs. Okay, and certain parts of this DNA, because all the DNA, everything is contained in that first cell. Certain parts of the DNA diminish in power more rapidly than other parts of this cell. However, at the same time, if you want to get the DNA of the person, you could actually get it from the toenail. So on one hand, as the body is developed into lower and lower parts of the body, each part is losing power, because now that the hand is a hand, it no longer has the potential to be a brain. And as the features of the body develop, once the eye is formed and the eye looks like the father, now it loses the potential for looking like the mother. So the more and more it develops, the more potential is lost, and the more of a form it takes until the form is the form, and then it can't be changed. So they say that in utero, if a baby, they can even do surgery on a fetus in utero, and you could, the less developed it is, the more you could do things to help the fetus. But the more as it develops, the harder it is to change things, because it comes more and more set in its ways, and it loses potential and it loses power as the baby develops. So we're going less and less from the perspective of this cell. For us looks like progress, but from the godly perspective, it's actually a downgrade. It's going down and down and down. But despite all this, every single cell, down to the toenail, which is almost lifeless. The two parts of our body that are the most external is the hair and the toenails. But the hair still has it has a body to it, while the toenail is like rigid and hard, and we don't really pay attention to it unless if we trim it here and there. But until we bang our toe, we don't really pay attention to it. But no matter what, every part of the child, down to the toenails, is all coming from that original source, that original cell. And so that's one very important part, that as far as you go, you could always retrace your steps and always come back home, always go back to your source where you came from. And the other very important thing is to know is that even this toenail, in order for it to function, to be alive, it must always be attached and connected to the child's brain. Okay.
For a Jew to this thing? Is there such a thing that a Jew could ever this thing?
Maybe a Jew could feel disconnected, but they can't disconnect. You see, a toenail is not an add-on. It's not like, the baby forms completely and then, we're gonna add some toenails at the end. The toenail is it's 100% part of the body. And maybe the toenail feels, maybe it feels disconnected, or like, you know, but it's always searching. It's always searching for the connection. It might not feel its connection. The pinky, the toe, it's searching. It's always searching to be connected, because it cannot be alive if it's not connected. And that's why we're searching so much in this earth. We're always searching. We're always looking. We don't know what we're here for. We're always trying new things. We're never settled. And that's why Jewish people are the most innovative. They're always, you know, creating more, you know, more in every field. They're always innovating more things. They're never settled. They always have to fix things. We're always looking for that connection.
We also have from the Creator creativity in our genes.
Absolutely. We have infinite power, 100%. Okay, so in our reality, roots are on the ground and growth is growing upward. How do you know if someone is alive? Is if they're growing. And take the first 20 years of life, you start out tiny like a baby and you're growing. Growth is a sign of being alive. But in heaven, it's a mirror image. So the roots are up here, and then growth, it's not growth, but it's not growth as we know it, but rather it's coming down from level to level. It's the opposite of what we see on this earth. So that's why you could have the root, our soul is coming from Atzilos, from the Chachma of Hashem, and then it's coming down and down, downgrading, until you have a soul down here on this earth.
Picturing it like a bad hair day. The roots, you know, that's just what came to my head.
So as it comes down, it's accumulating more and more layers, more and more veils, as it comes down.
Like a fruit, you saying?
More peels as it's coming down.
You're saying it's like the tree goes up and then comes down, and you have a fruit that comes from a tree, comes down.
Oh, no, so I'm not thinking of a fruit like a tree. It's more concealment.
What is?
The neshama is pristine up in heaven.
Right.
That's where the root is. And then as it comes down, it's being more and more concealed.
The body.
Until it comes down into a body, until the soul comes down into a body. So a
Why
soul,
a tree.
so we're saying that it's actually the opposite of a tree.
Right.
A tree, you see that,
yeah, right.
You see growth and development, and the more years that pass, the more growth, the more, and then you have fruits that are produced, whatever.
Opposite.
But here it's the opposite. What happens is
covered here.
it gets more covered. It gets more and more layers get attached to it, and each of these layers is another layer of concealment.
Mm-hmm.
For example, hail. How do you have a ball of hail? What happens? There's always, how does rain happen? You have water, condensation, and then evaporate, and then it evaporates, and then it goes up, and then it attaches itself to the dust particles in the sky, and then the moisture gets heavy, and then it falls and it comes down as rain, and then you have the whole cycle again.
Mm-hmm.
So what's hail? Hail is that the water was evaporated, it went up, and it attaches itself to some dust particles, but then it's not heavy enough for it to actually come down as rain. So it just like gets this like as it goes up, it gets this layer around this speck of dust, and every time it wants to come down, but it's not heavy enough, it's swept back up with the wind, and it gets another layer around it, and then eventually it's so heavy that it falls down as hail. And if you cut the hail, you'll see that there's layers and layers and layers around it, that every time was about to come down and it couldn't, it rose back up again, and it acquired another layer and another layer. So by the time the neshama is so pristine and beautiful up in the highest worlds, but as it comes down, it acquires more and more coverings, more and more layers, until a soul is embodied until a soul comes down into a body. and every step, you see more of a human and less godly. But if you were to, just like if you were to have an interview with that first cell, and you have to say, "Who are you?" And the cell would say, "I'm nothing. I'm just parent material. I'm just, I'm literally coming from the parent. This is the material that of the parents. It doesn't have its own identity. But the more it develops, the more it takes on, the more the fetus takes on its own identity, and it forgets that it originated from the parent. And this is called, this process is called hishtalshelus. And just from the word itself, you already could envision, it's like this chain-like descent, a sharsheres or shalsheles, a necklace is a sharsheres. It's like this chain-like descent coming down and down and down, starting from this great source, this great root, and it's coming all the way down onto this earth. Because nothing just happens in isolation. Everything is it's like a cause and effect. It's coming from everything everything is intertwined with everything before it, with everything after it, and there's no and that's why even here on this earth we're responsible. We're responsible for our actions. If a person, if a person goes to sleep and they know that in their sleep they move around a lot, it's your responsibility before you go to sleep that if there's this glass vase that's very, very close to your bed, it's your responsibility to move it, because there's no such thing. Oh, I was sleeping and I was tossing and turning and I knocked into the glass and it broke. You have to know. Everything is everything is connected to what happened before, and there's no such like just like an action, just like isolated action. Everything is connected to something that came before, to something that came after. That's its concept of hishtalshelus. It's not that all of a sudden just the soul, just like boom, is here on this earth, but rather it came down through this chain-like descent, and like kind of like a food chain. Everything is connected to what came before. Okay. So what do we have? We have something called not just hishtalshelus, but hishtalshelus ha'olamos, this descent of the worlds. Now, when we say worlds, we're not talking about places in outer space where there are aliens, but rather we're talking about 4 worlds, 4 divine worlds, and they are Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, which we're going to discuss at length what they are, these 4 worlds. And before we have to realize that it's not like space. There are 4 different worlds that are one on top of the other in some, somewhere. But rather it's spiritual worlds, and it's up to us on which level of awareness of God are we? So you could be living in this world of Asiya, but you could be in the world of Atzilus at the same time, or Bria, or Yetzira, or Asiya, and it's dependent on how aware are you of your connection to Hashem. So
What's that, CA?
I'm going to explain what the 4 worlds are.
Okay.
At any time of day, you could be in a different world.
Yeah.
For example, when you're.
Yeah.
You're probably in a higher world.
Yes.
When you say Shema, for sure, like, you're probably, which world are we in when we say Shema?
It's up to us. It's up to us where we are. Where we are. It's a question is, where is our mind? Where is our focus? So we even see this with people, right? If I just meet a person, let's say you have to go get your driver's license renewed. So all you want is your driver's license. You're not interested in being here. You're not interested in connecting with the person by the desk. You have what you want. You want to get out of here as soon as possible. You don't have any connection to that person. That is called so olam comes from the word helem, which means hidden and concealed. And when I want to get my driver's license, between me and this other person is complete helem, 100% helem. I have no, I don't know anything about them. I have no connection to them. Just give me my license and I'm out of here. But then it's the end of the day, you got your license and it happens to be closing time. You go to your parking lot and all of a sudden your car doesn't start. So now you need jumper cables. Happens to be the person that gave you your license comes out and they have jumper cables and they offer to help you jumpstart your car. Now all of a sudden the helem, those layers between you and them, those layers of connection start disappearing, right? Because all of a sudden you see there's a human face, there's a human behind this face. And they probably, have feelings, and they probably have a family, and they probably have things, things that they like and things that they, and maybe they're very creative. Maybe, on their day off of work, they're painting. Who knows what they're doing? Maybe they like pottery. Who knows what they like? So it's these 4 worlds are 4 worlds of concealment. And we could be looking at, we could be in a place where our connection to Hashem is completely concealed, just like we're looking at a human being and we have no connection to them, and they have so much to share, and they're such a beautiful person, but you're completely unaware because there's all these layers between you. There's all this concealment between you. And as you get to know the person, you peel away these layers of helem. And as we get closer to Hashem, we peel away these layers of helem, and we get to higher and higher perspectives and perceptions of our connection to Hashem. So the question is, which world of awareness do we live in? And there are 4 worlds of awareness. The lowest world, our world, is called Asiya, action. The next one up, is Yetzira, is formation. Bria is raw creation. And Atzilus comes from the word, it's either emanation or it comes from the word Eitzel, which means next to, close. So we're going to go into each one of these in more depth. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so imagine if you were to take a rocket ship and go to the sun, what would happen? You would just burn. You would cease to exist. So if a person who is in Atzilus, whose mind, who has an Atzilus awareness, they do not recognize that they exist. There's zero self. Just like if you were to go to the sun, you'd just be zapped. There would be no you, because we can't exist so close to the sun. So we're so overwhelmed by the intensity of God that we don't recognize that we exist. That's Atzilus.
I wonder if that ever happens.
Yeah, so it's usually the tzaddikim that have that awareness that they're
So close. It's like when they came so close, they said that they saw Hashem's face, that they would, when you learn, they said they saw Hashem and they were so close that the body collapsed.
What happened? Exactly, what happened?
We all collapsed.
Yeah, there was no self.
We were so close that we just took
Their bodies, their souls left their bodies.
Right, they've always heard these stories when they got so close, tzaddikim would collapse or. Yeah. So
on the level of Atzilus, you don't feel a physical existence at all. Bria is the first place where you say, where you first sense, a person could first sense the concept of existence.
I just say one more thing.
Sure.
That's what it says when Moshe Rabbeinu asked to see Hashem's face. It says in Yom Kippur, Hashem said, no man can ever see me because they will not be able to survive.
Right.
Hashem said, I cannot show you my face. That means he turned his head because it's not possible. It's such a strong. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, I just heard.
No, 100%.
Learned about it.
Yeah. So imagine you have a problem. You're trying to figure something out. and you don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, boom, flash, an idea pops in your head, a solution. Now, where did that come from? Where did that come from? That's Bria. Bria is the first, you don't know where that came from. It's Yesh Me'ayin. It's something comes from nothing. There was once a bunch of scientists, and they wanted to prove that there's no God. So they said after months and years of work, they're going to produce a living creature out of sand. And comes the big day, they're going to produce a living creature out of sand. And so what do we say to them? Make your own sand. To make a creature out of sand, you're creating something from something else. Whatever, you know. So you change the form, but real creation is yesh me'ayin. There was nothing. There was no existence. And Atzilus, we don't exist. It's only God. Bria is the first place where out of nowhere an idea flashes through your head. You're, hey, where did this come from? That's yesh me'ayin. Something exists from nothing. That's the first time a person could even sense any type of existence.
Yeah.
So when we have that's an example.
Like someone said, I learned an aha moment.
Yeah.
Like aha, like clarity from Hashem.
Yeah.
Aha moment.
Yeah. Where is it coming from?
It's like if something comes like that aha moment, you get a clarity from Hashem, like aha.
It's coming from Hashem. 100% coming from Hashem.
Aha moment.
Not related to Torah Hashem, spiritual goal. It's from Hashem directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Creation of Hashem. It's not creation of a mind. It's a creation from Hashem.
Because you were sitting and trying to figure out a solution to your problem, and in your own, with your own capacities, you couldn't come up with anything. And out of nowhere, which is basically out of Hashem's grace and kindness, he gives you an idea that you didn't have before. It's a new creation. It's something brand new. We cannot credit ourselves. No.
Some people get these cute ideas.
But you feel it's something.
They feel so, I'm so smart,
But I
I'm so
feel like
this,
it's-
I'm so that.
But it expands the question of why do some people get more inspirational thoughts than others? What is it that she's getting more ideas? What is that? Where is that coming from?
Maybe they're working harder and they're connecting. Awareness.
Is that what
And being open to it, opening yourself to it.
creative people are generally autistic people with creative ideas are generally much
They
more
have much
spiritual.
because their layers are
But
not
I
there.
think that some people are, like, a part of themselves is creator. Like a big, being creative, I don't think.
You
it's-
should, like,
it's the same
artistic-
thing, yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
no.
What are you creativity is.
No, creativity,
HMI.
no, I see this paper and I could just make the most beautiful picture, but that's not like the HMI. The HMI is more like something for nothing.
That's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
even
Even
if
the picture on the paper is
I
also.
think creativity is just a talent, no? I think the HMI is more of a clarity, with more of like a,
An idea versus a
visual.
physical.
Yeah, like a gospel, like something like, what should I do? And then all of a sudden.
I think it's also like,
You
you
get
are
like-
saying something right about autistic
Like,
kids.
uh,
Autistic kids are lacking, the autistic kids are what's because someone on the spectrum, they don't, autistic on the spectrum,
Okay.
they don't have they're more open, right, their senses, they hear more of the sounds,
Right, so
the same way there is that, so they do have a little more sensing clarity, there's just something,
Wow.
and that goes, it's sensitive to the way everything has to be in balance, and we really need to do it, so in a way, it's not so healthy to Hashem, give us a favor to cover up a little bit.
No, like how has holding on neurodivergent, what it actually means,
Right.
is that their soul is in a higher.
Exactly, so as I'm saying,
Not
there
ethically
are layers, and that's why they hear sounds that we don't hear.
And
Their
that's
the
what-
whole, like, they really, as we speak now, there is sound, Hashem Medab, the
It
global
makes-
speech.
it
I-
makes so much.
So there's so many things that we're not hearing, but they had that layer off.
Does it make so much sense?
They're
to them,
hearing
they
more,
have less-
And they're very
they have
special, they're much more connected sometimes, so they're very spiritual, these kids, and they're
They have
very,
less-
they have the- yeah.
They have less.
Yeah.
blockages.
they're less blockages, naturally. But in a way to function this world, sometimes it don't work, that's why Hashem does give us a favor by giving us these layers, and we have to do the work to do it at the right time, as needed, like you're saying, that it's there, but we need to form it when we need to form it, not,
Not like, it
it
has to be laser
in
focused,
boundaries, like,
like the laser.
yeah.
So another difference between Bria and Yetzira is Bria is like a lump of clay, and Yetzira is now forming into a vase. So in Bria, there's much more potential, it's much more open-ended. And in Yetzira, that's where you're forming it. Now, once it's a vase, it can't be something else. Another difference between Bria and Yetzira is there's a verse that says, Ani nivresi l'shamesh eskaini. I was created to serve my creator. But there's another version, and that's Ani loy nivresi ela l'shamesh eskaini. I was not created other than for the reason of serving my creator. So in the world of Bria, it's Ani loy nivresi. Ani loy. I don't exist. There is no me.
In Bria or Yetzirah?
In Bria, the higher one. The higher one is Ani loy. There is no me. There is no me.
There's still no me.
There's no.
Atzilus, there's no me, and Bria, there's still no
Okay,
me.
so so really, there's no me, but Ani loy nivresi ela l'shamash eskaini. But the if I am here, it's only to serve my creator. I don't have my own mitzias, my own identity. If I happen to be here, it's because there's no I. There's no I. If I happen to be here, it's because God needs me for God created me and needs me to serve him.
How is that
Ver-
different from Atzilus, where there's no me at all, where I don't exist?
You don't even know to say.
She
it.
says,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's solely like just, it's just like, you're saying so close, it's like exploded, it's not even like a,
no, there's
Form.
still an I, because here you're like, Hashem created me for a purpose.
So I'm already created.
I'm a
I'm already
creation.
exist.
I say no, I say
That's
other
slowly
than I.
version.
All of a sudden, I look in the mirror and I say, "Hey, I don't know how I got here, but guess what? I'm here." Okay, if I'm here,
And that's never, there was in me that
yeah,
expression.
Yeah, like I'm a Shalia,
So
Yeah.
Atzilus, I don't
separate
exist.
from the person who sent you, no?
so this in Bria is the first. Yeah, that's a great example. In Bria is the first place where I even notice that I exist. I notice that I exist, and if I'm here, then it's to serve Hashem. But Hashem has a mission, and Hashem needed me. That's why I'm here.
Right.
Versus the world of a Yetzira is Ani
Right, it's that-
nivresi l'shamash eskaini. There's a me. I exist.
Yeah, it's Bria, Yetzirah.
Yeah. The third level is I exist. Now you want to know why I exist. Why you want to know why I exist? Okay, I'm here. Okay, to serve Hashem. But the question is, what comes first? You know what comes first, the chicken or the egg? In the lower world, there's me. Now that I'm here, okay, let's see what's my purpose. Versus, it's not about me. In Bria, it's not about me. It's about Hashem. Okay, I'm surprised. I'm almost surprised to even see myself. Okay, if I'm here, then it's only because Hashem needs me for something. But Hashem is first. You know, Hashem is the primary, and me. Okay, if I'm here, then I'm just a creation because God needs me. Because God needs me for a purpose. But it's not about me. Versus, oh, I'm here. Okay, now why am I here? So it's the same verse. It's just twisting it around a little bit. It's either Ani loy or Ani. You know, one is negating the I, and one is celebrating the I. And then
I feel like there's a purpose, like it's almost you're saying flow with what sometimes you need the I, sometimes you need the non-existent. In
Actually,
order to
just
serve
had a-
Hashem, like you need both worlds. Because sometimes you do
Say
need
like
to know
we're
your
God's
strength.
self-expression. In the
Hashem wants us to serve
we're like Hashem's self-expression in the
Right.
buried.
No, but I think that.
We're
Okay,
part of.
so-
The thing is that I think certain people have a different path. Like for some people, their path is I'm an I, and then they search for the meaning. And then for some people, they're so sensitive or on the spectrum that it's my life has to be meaningful. Like Hashem obviously created me for a purpose. And it's
So-
more,
point
they
of
have
this
more
is-
of that awareness.
yeah, I'll give one more word. And in Bria, which is the second world. Atzilos, there's no existence, only Hashem. Bria is ani loy. There is no ego. Okay, maybe I see that I'm here, okay, but there's zero ego. It's not about me. It's not about me. There's Hashem. Hashem created the world, and Hashem created me, and somehow I'm part of His creation. You know, but I'm able to put myself aside completely and focus on what does Hashem want, versus Yetzira is I exist. Now that I exist, and after I had my coffee, and after I have, take care of, everything I need to take care of, okay, now let me start looking for some meaning in my life. It's I need to feel, I need to have a meaningful life. It's the same verse. The question is, where is the focus? What are you stressing on?
I do see different levels going up.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But this whole thing is that the layers that we come down, and our purpose is to go to the higher.
The more
until the layers, we work on peeling up the clippers.
Yeah, the more
get to the level.
The more layers that we uncover, the more connected we feel, and the more connected we are. We're always connected, but we feel that connection. We're in touch. Okay, and the last world is the world of Asiya. Asiya is the world of action, and here, like, remember we said that everything has, there's like this chain-like descent. Nothing just happens out of thin air. But in this world, it seems that way.
Go about it, just doing.
You could, in this world, it seems like in this world we could have actions that seem completely detached from purpose or from intention.
Just doing.
For example, you're walking down the street and your foot, you're on your phone, and your foot kicks a pebble, and there's a cafe nearby, and the pebble lands in someone's coffee. There's zero intention. It's just like wait, where did this pebble just fly from? So in this world, things are basically, it seems like things are just like flying, like weird, everything's detached. It's detached from Hashem. You don't understand why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why did I miss my flight? Why did I lose my keys? Everything seems detached. And what happens is, it's like compared to, Rashi says this, it's compared to a father who has his son on his shoulders, and the son is thirsty. So the father says, I'm thirsty. Dad, I'm thirsty. The father gives him a drink. Dad, I'm hungry. The father gives him food. And then the father's continuing on this journey with his child on his shoulders, and a person's passing by, and the child says, hey, have you seen my father? And the father's like, oh, 1 second, I'm going to take you down until you notice that, who's holding you. So we're in this world. We have so much opportunity. We're living in this beautiful world, and we are completely, we could even come to a place where, like, is there a God? Maybe there is a God. Maybe there's not a God. Maybe there's a purpose. Maybe there's not a purpose. We're completely, lost touch with the truth. And again, not all souls go through this whole entire process of Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. Some souls stay in higher realms that they don't even have to come down. Like the world, I'm saying they actually live in this. You could have tzaddikim that live in this world, but yet their souls didn't come down to the world of Asiya, meaning to that they perceive this world as completely disconnected from Hashem. Their perception, I'm saying they know, they're aware of how this world works, but they actually see things from a different perspective. They actually see that they're connected, that there is no random, pebble flying into someone's coffee, that it came from somewhere.
They worked on
Is it
possible?
Well, are you a brain or are you a toenail? Are you a hand? Are you a foot?
Some people are born with hard. It took me a long time to get to this place where I desired learning, and as much as I tried, I didn't connect to it. Push, until one day it happened. Why is it that some people, they just have it and some people don't?
So if we were on the higher level, if we lived on a higher level of Atzilus or Bria, it wouldn't bother us. It wouldn't bother us. Why is it that person is a tzaddik, or that person doesn't have challenges, or that person doesn't, it's not a struggle for them to serve Hashem, while for someone else, it's a huge struggle to keep Shabbos, let's say. It's not fair.
It's not how I feel. I know I'm very much not a tzaddik.
No, but I'm saying, why is it that some souls are they have the perception of Atzilus, and some souls don't. Some souls live in this world and they don't see. You know, there's a book a secular book that we read when we were in 7th grade in English. It was called The Giver.
I remember that book.
You remember that book?
I remember having to read it, but not reading it because I had to read it. You know, one of these assignments in school.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a time from school. But
Yeah.
basically, it's a world where no one sees color
Yeah,
and no one has feelings. No one could feel pain except for one person, except for one child. Could see color and feel pain and no one else can. You know, so we're all most of us are numb. We're numb to godliness. But then there are those souls that see how everyone else is numb. They see how everyone else is living, but yet they see color, they experience pain. Another book my kids were reading, they were very not happy with the book. I didn't read it, but a world where everyone was deaf and one person could hear. And there was a car accident, and the kid was in the house or in school, and the kid warned everyone there's going to be a car accident because she's hearing the noises, but no one else could hear it. And she tries to warn them, but no one else could hear. And how difficult that is. And everyone else, how do they know that a baby is crying? Because they see the baby's face is red and the baby has tears. But she knows the baby is crying because she hears the baby crying.
So it's the purpose. It's not mazel, it's the purpose. Hashem
It's the
wants this
purpose.
child to come out of this world and need to come out in the world of Asilas, and that's my purpose. It's not, my purpose is to go through whatever amount of years it is disconnected until I find that. connection.
Yes, because Hashem doesn't just need a brain. We need every single part of the body in order for to have a healthy body.
Why is it that it took so long?
Can I have the
As much as
opposite
you
question?
try, why is it that it takes so long for some people to find that connection? As much as you fight it, it's so hard to find that connection.
Because that's what this world is all about. That's what it means to be a Jew. What it means to be a Jew is that you have two souls. And it could be that the animal soul was primarily in the driver's seat for X amount of years. And finally, you edged it out and you put the godly soul in its place. And now the godly soul is in control. And now your neshama is able to express itself and learn and do it. And you're able to feed it. The godly soul.
But Hashem also gives us opportunities to find it, like that's why life is a test, so why some of our challenges for that reason, and looking through the lens of God, like, you know, Hashem will try to give people hints, some people take it, some don't,
Yes.
that's our life, a journey
You don't know what.
to find it. Some people go like never find it, maybe God gave them opportunity, but they didn't. That's where we are, we do have accountability, like,
And
we
free
said it's
choice.
right, we can't just do, well, I just didn't find it, and then la-di-da.
What's there?
There is that sense, imagine like, yeah, that, we need that sense, and we can go, and that's what we need. Like, there is that piece of stuff, we can't just say, well, I just didn't find it. You need to look for and find it.
Yeah.
Now, not without judging, like there is different,
But that was your
That's your journey.
You were digging. You were digging. The neshama you have to dig for.
something gave you that sense, look for it.
That effort is what made you.
That was your path.
That was a stepping.
But I
stone
think
you
that
had.
we all have a hard time accepting the path that we were given. I mean, not all of us, but I could
Sometimes.
relate to that struggle of like, why do I have to go the opposite way?
It's
Why am I
not
so sensitive? Why can I be numb and then hit the whatever and then be, yeah.
Yeah.
But look at it from this way, you're so much closer. People that are sensitive souls means they're closer to Hashem. That's really
Right.
what it is.
And there was a farmer and he had a horse and the horse was very old and he wanted to get rid of the horse. So he dug this big pit, and he threw the horse in, let the horse die, and that's it. He get rid of it. So what did the farmer do? He started shoveling earth and dumping it on the horse's head to bury it alive. What did the horse do? Every time the farmer took a whole shovel of earth and dumped it on its head, instead of kvetching, when the sand landed on the bottom of the pit, it climbed on it. And on every shovel of sand, every shovel of dirt, it climbed on it, and then it ended up getting itself out. So nothing, life, it's a journey, and a journey is many, many steps, and you can't get to step number 10 unless you went through 1 through 9. And it's every experience that we have is not wasted. It's all to get us to a certain point, to get us to our mission. So nothing was wasted. Every single thing that ever happens to us, it's all part of forming us and making us who we are. And whether it be trauma, whether it be challenges, it's all part of a bigger picture. There was for me personally, I know most people don't like to go to the dentist, but for me, going to the dentist is the end of the world. Then what happened was, I was in my Chabad house. We were at our Chabad house. I met this amazing woman. Her name was Sharon Chester, and she was a dental hygienist. I was so excited that this is like a dream come true, that I could go to the dentist. She's the most caring, soft person that I ever met in my whole entire life, and she was a dental hygienist, and I went to her for many, many years, and I entrusted myself, in her hands, to go to the dentist, and she did the same for me with regards to Yiddishkeit. And I taught about Haras Mishpacha, and she went to the mikvah, and she made amazing strides in Yiddishkeit, and I was so connected to her because, this was the key to my worst fear. Her first yahrzeit is coming up, Chaf Daled Elul. I was so close to her. I remember when last year I was pregnant with Label, and I went to the doctor, and you know how they always ask, like, how are you feeling? And she asked me how I'm feeling. It was a few days after Sharon passed away, and I burst out crying. I was like, no, I'm not okay. I was, like, it was crazy, but she was an amazing neshama from a very, very high place. But so the fact that I was so afraid of going to the dentist, it's part of my mission, because as soon as I realized who she was, I was automatically drawn to her in a much stronger way, because this was like my lifeline for my worst fear, so it's the challenges that we have, it's because we have to connect to certain people and help them and in their journey, whatever it is. It's not a, it's part of our path. It's part of our path, but
it's okay to be in this world.
yeah, so we have to be the best pinky we could be, or you know what I'm saying? And the pinky has to be connected. The pinky has to be connected to the brain in order for it to be alive. The other day, I forced my rings on my finger because they don't fit, and I was trying to get it off, and it wasn't coming off, and my finger was literally turning blue because it was losing its. When I was trying to get the ring off, it was tightening its connection to the body, and it was literally changing colors to get the ring off. So it has to always be connected in order for it to be alive. We have to realize, and we're going to see an incredible thing, that yes, I'm a pinky, but I'm not just a pinky if I'm connected to the brain. Because if I'm a pinky and I'm connected to the brain, then I realize what an incredible how incredible I am, because look at all the things that I do with my pinky, and even with my toe, the fact that I walk and everything like that, I am incredible. But if I'm just a pinky, then I'm nothing. But from a pinky that's connected to a brain, connected to a body, then I'm doing an unbelievable function. Then you need, the body needs that function.
We don't even realize until it's compromised, that's when we realize how much the pinky actually does.
Right.
It's amazing to see.
Because
Yeah.
when do we feel when we're in pain, and when do we grow, when do we connect to the brain? When we're in pain. The only time we feel our toenails when it's infected.
Yeah.
When do we connect strongest to Hashem?
When we're
When we're
going
in
through struggles.
Sometimes we need that reminder that there's a brain there.
Or we can come here, and then we don't have to have the pain.
Yeah, but sometimes we come here and we're not ready for it.
So, but you know, it said out of the vessel, you put it on your heart, and then one day Hashem makes you a gift.
Yeah.
Everything you want goes inside.
So really a healthy body doesn't experience pain because when the pinky is bottle, when the pinky is nullified to the brain, then you don't experience pain and you don't feel it. As soon as you feel pain, it's because that part of the body is not nullified to the brain anymore.
Somebody needs
Sarnia,
to feel pain.
They say.
If they
back pain.
understand what they're feeling is not pain, it's purpose. There's a big difference between pain and purpose. And when we understand that it's not pain, it's purpose, it's from Hashem, then it shouldn't be painful. We keep learning that.
It's very hard. Okay. Okay, so where were
It's
we?
not painful, or it just gives it meaning.
It definitely hurts less when it makes
It
sense.
hurts
Not
less.
suffering, you don't suffer.
It's not, but it's still pain, it still hurts.
The
But it hurts
sensation,
less.
the sensation is still there, but the feel is
So much
Yeah.
of our pain is inside.
On the brain,
It's in the
where you looking
mind.
at.
The emotional part.
Yes,
Suffering,
there's-
the
yeah.
suffering part of it.
Suffering
Yes.
is suffering is emotional.
Yeah.
But there's a certain, when we experience pain, there's a certain disconnect of the body is acting up. There's a certain disconnect between the part of that body and the brain, and that's what's causing the pain. If it was a healthy, for a healthy body, then there is no pain.
That's why.
The more connected you are, the healthier you are, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about the world of Asiya. And like we said yesterday, Asiya is like a dark basement. And because we're in this dark basement, we're basically like blind. Anyone could convince us anything. You could convince a blind person anything. You know, this is the color red. They can't see. So we're living in this world of when we live in this world of Asiya, and everything, godliness is concealed. Anyone could try to convince us anything. And the marketing, is very enticing. But everything in this world, including us, we are all actors and props. This world is Hashem's stage. And it's all an act. That's what Olam Asiya means. It's a world of action. That's what this world is. Now we have a choice. Who is the real me and who is the fake me? We ask ourselves a million times a day, only in this world, because it's so concealed, do we have the question, what is my purpose? If you were in a higher world, you would know your purpose is to serve Hashem. It would be very, very clear what your purpose is. Here we try a million different things. Is there a purpose? What is my purpose? All that struggle is all in this world. And this world is a world of acting and a world of action. And we are actors. And a lot of things is an act. There are, the marketing, it's all an act. And we have to know who is the real me and who is the hypocritical me. There's a story that there was a chassid, I forget which Rebbe, and he was a big chassid, and he was also a businessman. And when he would come to the Rebbe, come with his shtreimel, with his bekasha, whatever, and then when he'd go to a business meeting, he would put on a short jacket and roll up his beard and wear a different kind of hat. And one day he said, I'm gonna be true. I'm gonna be true. Why should I fool the Rebbe? When I come to the Rebbe, I'm also gonna come in a business suit and you know, with different hat and roll up my beard. And he comes to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says to him, I thought that when you were dressed in a business suit, then you were a hypocrite. And the real you is the one with the shtreimel. So yes, we live in this world. In this world, we feel like hypocrites. One, I could come to a Tanya shir, and then the next minute I could do something else. So who am I? What's my purpose? How come 1 minute like this, 1 minute like that? But we could put on an act. We could put on but what is the act? The act should, I put on an act. Put on a business suit and a tie and go to the business meeting. And you're acting. You're acting. But that should be the act. And who the real you is, that you're serving Hashem. So it shouldn't be the other way around. Oh, I'm a hypocrite. Oh, why should I give tzedakah? Why should it's a hypocrite anyway? But it should be the other way around. The fact that you give tzedakah, the fact that you learn Torah, that's the real you. And everything else is an act. And how do I know who's the real me and what's an act? Am I excited and inspired by going to the beach? Or am I excited and inspired by learning Torah? And also another thing about this world is,
parts of it, so.
yeah. So who's in the driver's seat?
Right, but it switches.
It switches. That's what this world is, the constant conflict.
It's always a struggle.
It's always a
I feel like
struggle.
we're always gonna, it's not.
Yeah. But ultimately, who is the real me? Ultimately, the real me is my godly soul.
Right.
And everything else.
It was me of the very heavy woman, and that's me, who she used to say, I'm naturally skinny. And inside she felt skinny, you know? But yes, we're the battle of the bulge, it's the battle of the everything. Not just the battle of the bulge, we have the battle in every area. And Hashem appreciates our battles.
Yeah.
Is it the more you do also that there's a comment like the more you learn, the more you want, the more you connect. So that's also part of that.
The more Helen, the more layers
more
you're coming off. So you can see the truth.
Like you enjoy it more, like to stay away from that. You're always being pulled, but the more you open up towards.
Yeah, and the more you say, look, I have to go to work, I have to cook, I have to clean, I have to whatever. But the cooking, cleaning, okay, good define, cooking, cleaning is part of our avodah. But I'm saying going to make a living, whatever it is, that should be the act. And who am I really is a servant of Hashem. And only in this world could a person deny Hashem and go against Hashem. Only a human being could do that. A mosquito, whatever its job is, it does its job faithfully. It's serving Hashem. It might be annoying to us, but it serves Hashem and does what it's supposed to do. And you know what? It will never go hungry. Right? It always has you to eat from. So, and a mosquito was created, to be one of the props for us to act and to do the right thing. So if Hashem can provide for a mosquito, Hashem can for sure provide for us. But the question is, are we in touch with Hashem? Are we in touch with our mission? Are we in touch with our with our purpose? Are we in touch with the real me? Or can someone convince me that, oh, there is no God or there is no purpose? That's this world of Asiya.
You know, I'm trying to picture like how special it is to Hashem that when we don't see him and we serve him, that's in a certain sense on a higher level than a tzaddik who does see him. It's so big deal. You see him and you're serving. So I think that the level we're at is almost maybe greater in a certain sense if we do serve Hashem from a hidden place. Yes, we have to try to develop awareness, but wow, that we serve Hashem even when we can't see.
Okay, so, I was thinking of stopping here, but I'm going to push another couple of minutes. Okay, just to answer your question. Okay, so now we're up to, I already covered 3 classes, there's one more. Okay. The question is, if I'm a pinky, how can I get in touch with Hashem? How can I feel my connection to Hashem? How can I live a more meaningful life? And, in everything else, we outsource, okay? We have a personal trainer, we have a doctor, we have a therapist. For everything, we want, we go to the restaurant for food. We're always, but when it comes to our spiritual self, oh, that I can take care of by myself. For our soul, we don't always feed it properly. The question is, when my cell phone loses battery, I know what to do. Plug it in. When my stomach is grumbling, I know what to do. I go eat. When I'm bored, I know what to do. Go find something meaningful to do with your life. What happens when my neshama is thirsty? And the problem is when our neshama is thirsty, we don't interpret it. We don't know that my neshama is thirsty. My neshama is thirsty and I don't get it. Why is it? I go to the fridge, I open the fridge. I look in the fridge, can't find anything that I like, I close it, I walk away, I come back 5 minutes later, I open the fridge again, right? It's not just that now, okay, I was hungry, there was nothing that I was interested in, so I close the fridge, I come back 5 minutes later, and now my expectations are less, okay, now I'll eat the leftover lasagna. It's not just that. When I keep opening up the fridge, it's because there's a thirst. I'm thirsting for something and I don't even know what I'm looking for.
Quench your thirst.
I don't even, something, I feel a lack. So I go open the fridge. I have no idea what I want. I open the fridge, nothing there's interesting, appetizing, and I just close the fridge. But why do I come back again? Because there's a lack, and that lack wasn't filled. So what happens is the neshama and I keep going to the fridge. I'm thinking that I'm hungry. I'm misinterpreting the lack, thinking that I'm hungry. And maybe sometimes I will go to the fridge or go to the pantry and eat a cake, and then I'm done eating the cake, and I still something's lacking. Okay, so now what am I going to do? Go for a second piece of cake? Really, I'm misinterpreting. I'm thinking that I'm hungry, but really, it's my neshama that's hungry. Really, I feel a lack, and the only way I'm going to get rid of that lack is not by eating another piece of cake, or watching another video, or surfing the net. I'm looking for something. I'm searching for something, and I'm misinterpreting it as a need or a lack of something else. And I'm trying to, maybe I'll go on vacation. Maybe I'll just to shut it up somehow. What could I do I feel this.
You're feeling a void.
I feel a void, and it's really my neshama. My neshama is being thirsty, and I don't understand. I'm misinterpreting that void, and I'm trying to fill it with a million other things. Because I'm not in touch with the fact that my neshama also needs to be fed, also is thirsty. Okay. So what do I need to do? What does the pinky need to do? The pinky has to get in touch with the brain to keep it alive. We have to get in the brain. From the brain is the source of life for the whole body. So if the individual organ wants to feel connected or feels a void, it has to connect to the brain, to the Rosh. We actually say to the head, to the brain, which is in the head. And in Judaism, we don't say Happy New Year. We say Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. We don't say, oh, it's the first day of the month. We say it's Rosh Chodesh. the head of the month. And it's not, and it's for a reason, because in Yiddishkeit, the first day of the month encapsulates in it the entire month. There's nothing in the month that happens that is not controlled by the first day of the month, with the head of the month. And the same is with the year. There's nothing that's going to happen in the Jewish year that's not encapsulated on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, everything is decided on Rosh Hashanah, and that's what happened. Then from there it spreads for the whole year, but everything is in the Rosh. The brain is the epicenter. That's where the power is. That's where all the decisions are made. And the same thing is with the Jewish people. The Jewish people have a Rosh B'nai Yisrael, a head of the Jewish nation. And we call it a Rosh. A Rebbe stands for Rosh B'nai Yisrael. And we don't say a king or a leader or a president or a prince or a wise man. We say a Rosh. A Rebbe is a Rosh B'nai Yisrael. And it says in the Torah, it says, when it speaks about connecting to Hashem, it says, Uladafka bay, we should connect to Hashem, like glue. And the question is, how could you connect to Hashem? It's impossible. We'll get burnt up like the sun, like someone who's trying to approach the sun. And the Gemara, not Hasidus, the Gemara says, the way to connect to Hashem is through connecting to tzaddikim and Talmidei Chachamim. And Talmidei Chachamim is very much misunderstood. You have to understand what a Talmid Chacham is. And we have to understand what a tzaddik is. A tzaddik, so when it says tzaddikim and chachamim, a tzaddik we would think represents character, and chachamim we would think it represents intellect. But this is a big mistake. Intelligence is never an indication of connection to God. There's something called the pin test. You could take a Gemara, you could take a pin and put it through the Gemara, and a very smart person could tell you, if I put the pin through the Gemara on every single page, what word did the pin hit? That's someone who's brilliant. He's very, very smart. But that doesn't indicate a connection to Hashem. What's a Talmid Chacham? Talmid. A Talmid Chacham is someone who is constantly learning. It's not that, oh, I got my diploma, I got my smicha, I reached the top of the mountain, now I'm the greatest person that lives, now everyone can respect me. A Talmid Chacham is someone who is constantly learning. And what is Chacham? We'll learn from what's Chachma. We're going to learn this next chapter. Chachma is someone who has Chachma, not smartness. Someone who has Chachma is someone who is ready to suspend himself to be open to new wisdom. That's a chacham. And it says, what's Ezu chacham halay made mikal adam. You think, what's a big chacham? I'm here, I'm the teacher, I'm going to teach you. And if you listen, maybe you're going to come away with something. No, a chacham is someone who can learn from every other person. That's a chacham.
Somebody who's receptive.
Someone whose ego is not connected, it puts their ego aside, open to new information. It's not about being a Baal Gaiva. It's about yes, being able to look at every single person and see the truth, see who they are, see their neshama, see what their DNA is, that they're part of this, that all the Jewish people are part of one organism, and it's called Yisrael Ravim Zelazeh. We're all responsible one for the other, and all of our souls are intertwined with each other. And a Rosh B'nai Yisrael, a brain, the brain is someone that realizes that every single part of the body is integral, that we can't do away with one part of the body. We need every single part. A Rosh B'nai Yisrael is not focusing on themselves, but rather it's focusing on nourishing and providing for and being there for every single part of the body. That's the brain's function. Okay, so Talmid Chacham, again, it's someone who keeps reviewing, and he's constantly challenging himself to reach deeper levels of awareness of Hashem. While a regular person, we are conscious of ourselves, and even after a class, we go back to the fridge. right? But the Talmid Chacham, the tzaddik, is someone who is always constantly serving Hashem. Okay. And just like if you are going to go on vacation or if you want to buy a cell phone, you're going to ask someone who already purchased this phone. What's the battery of it? How long does it last? Or how was this vacation? Ask someone who's already there, who already went there. You're not going to invest in stocks or invest in something that you know nothing about. So when a pinky connects to the brain, when a person connects to the Reish B'nai Yisrael, then through being connected to the brain, that's how it helps you reveal your connection. So go to someone who's already there to help you reveal your connection. And what is a tzaddik? What is a Reish B'nai Yisrael? Someone who's not here to give a lecture, but rather he knows that you have the same DNA. And his job is to find a way to set your soul on fire. I'm just going to end with one tiny little story because we're so late. There was a mashgiach in the yeshiva, and there was a boy who wasn't behaving. He got 1 warning and 2 warnings and 3 warnings, and then mashgiach said, "Listen, you're out. You didn't listen. You're not following the rules. You're expelled from the yeshiva." And the yeshiva was far away from his house. And the boy, he packs his stuff, he goes outside of the yeshiva, he walks to the street corner, and he has absolutely no idea what his next move is going to be. And then all of a sudden, a car pulls up. The mashgiach pulls up and says, "Maishala, get into the car," and takes him home to his house, gives him a room, feeds him, and takes care of him. A Reish B'nai Yisrael, his job is to take care of every single part of the body. And even if that part of the body rebels, he has to find another way to connect to that soul. That's what it means. A head. A head needs the pinky. It values the pinky, and it values the toe, and it needs every single part. So it's not about me. I'm so wonderful. I'm so great. I know the whole Gemara and Talmud, and who knows what by heart, and everything's at my fingertips. Today everything's at everyone's fingertips. But it's not just your brilliance. A Talmid Chacham and a tzaddik that you have to attach yourself to is not just someone who's brilliant, but it's a brain. It's a brain who is in touch with every single part of the body. So whoever we may be, this is why it's so important to connect to a tzaddik in the generation, to connect to our brain. Because when we connect to our brain, then we realize that I'm not just a pinky, just a pinky, disconnected, just random. But rather when you realize, when the pinky connects to the brain, it realizes how valuable it is and how much it's needed. And all Jewish people were one soul. And the pinky has the brain's message to the pinky is, you come from me. You may look like a pinky, but your source is my brain. And that's why it's so important. It's so important to be connected to the Reish B'nai Yisrael, and this is a unbelievable way for us that when we're in this world of Asiya, when everything is dark, when we're in this basement with no light, when we're so confused and we don't know what to do, if we want if we want to be true to ourselves, if we want to know our purpose, we want to know our mission, we want to be connected to Hashem, we want to know what our mission is. How are we going to get there? How are we going to improve? How are we going to get out? How are we going to uncover these coverings? It's all through connecting ourselves to our brain. So there's 2 points, which we said before in the mashal and the nimshal. The 2 points are that as low as you are, you come from the brain, and from the brain you get your life force. And the same is true. The same is true. A Rebbe is not someone that just has incredible knowledge, but a Rebbe is someone whose whole mission is to make sure that every part of the body is connected and is connected and inspired and feels its true DNA. Okay.
Wow.
And it's so apropos that we're learning this as as we approach Chai Elul. So we have Baal Shem Tov, we spoke about Hasidus, we spoke about the Alter Rebbe and the Tanya that we're learning. That this is what we asked yesterday. What is Hasidus? What is Hasidus? Hasidus is taking the pinky and connecting it to the brain, that it should realize its value, its mission, its purpose, and through connecting to the brain, that's how it's truly alive. And that's what Hasidus does. That's what Hasidus is compared to birth. Hasidus compares to birth when we're able to be born and to be truly alive. What does it mean to be truly alive? It means to be connected to our source. Okay.
No, life's really went on. Today. No.
Even brighter.
Keep coming, yes. Yeah, thank